Wagwan sports fans, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host Joe Mar.
I'm Rush.
And this is This or That Sports TV, the place you guys come to get the best, most interesting and riveting sports topics, discussions and debates on the internet.
Yes, people. Today we are going to be doing a reaction video. Good while they get one of them video.
Good while.
Before we even do that, because them can't study we know, bro.
Oh,
them don't know where they might get a video from, you know.
Nah, man,
They can't tell the location. Inside of the stadium, outside of the stadium, studio, they don't even know.
Because as them can see, bro, right now, we just switched up a little for them. You know, so we're there in front of the wherever we're there, you know, and we want to show off the outside vibes same way. So we decided to switch it up because we try to keep it engaging and keep it shot for the people. Them.
First of all, Gatorade sponsor This or That Sports TV.
Alright, we'll move it, bro. Because I don't want to lose the word.
That's a shot, bro.
So the man don't want me to give away no free promo or no free press.
If you're watching this video and you like us to promote a product, hit us up. But yeah, bro, Pall did his pre-match pros conference for the Jamaica versus Mexico game in the National Stadium. You were there. You know, as I say, journalism, new thing we are taking on, accredited. We are in the spaces that we need to be. You asked him a few questions. We are going to dissect them. So,
without further ado.
Yeah, but hold on. We have to stop them again. What we need them to do, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share.
Share the video. If each one of you guys can get us at least 5 subscribers, just 5, you know, not 50, not 20, not 500, just 5. You know how many subscribers that get us by the end of the day? Anyways, people, let's get right into it.
Alright, so the first question you ask Pall, about Orlando Irons, play it.
Pall, Joe Marker, I'm here, This or That Sports TV. Alright, so my first question that I'd like to ask is about Orlando Irons, a recent debutant international program. Can you please tell us what you thought about his performance and how do you see him fitting into the system going forward?
Who are we talking about?
Irons. Yeah.
Oh, Rolando Irons.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Rolando is a player of great potential. He's done a great job in England. He's very much a wide player, neutral areas. I'm a person that likes to go over, around, or through the press, whatever the game throws it to us. He's a player that can handle the ball nicely. He's nice and positive when he gets the ball. He's got a good first touch. I think the game last week made him realise that he hadn't played a lot this season, and the pace of the game caught him out a little bit. So he's really coming back, but potentially he's a fantastic player. So I wanted to get him in. But going forward, he can fit into a variety of different positions, and he's done a great job in England. And I just think that he's got the right commitment and the right kind of resilience to be able to fit into a squad. He can play right or left, and he can drift into the 10 positions and find space in behind the midfield lines. So that's the type of player that I see him as, and that's the type of player that if we can find him, he's got goals in his repertoire. So that's what I want to add to the team as well.
Yeah.
Alright, people. Yeah, so spoke about Orlando Irons. I was very interested. Irons was a player that I wanted to be a part of this program, like for a long time. And I'm happy that he finally got his run. And in the short space of time, we saw the class that he possessed. We saw what he brought to the national program. So I decided to ask Pall about this.
Yeah, and Pall said that he realized that he wasn't playing a lot of football this season, or he didn't play. I couldn't tell that in the game, though.
Yeah.
He looked dynamic to me. He looked like he wanted to be there. Yeah, I saw quality in a few moments, and he's a Pall player. What I mean by that is a player that doesn't stick to his position.
Yeah,
a player that free roams and drifts across the pitch. That is a Pall. That's what I see as a Pall.
Yeah, and we heard him speak about it. A player who has the ability to play wide, because we do need width, because we have pace and we have strength and skill on the wing side. But Pall Hall loves to have his wingers playing the 10 positions, and you heard him say it. Like, the thing that I see with Pall Hall's system from an analytical standpoint is the diversity, or the way how dynamic his system is. It can go from a 4-1-2-3 to a 4-1-4-1 very fast. And I love the way that he has players moving. And Leon Bailey, Jamal Lowe, Bobby Reed, who is not there, Rolando Irons, I think they all possess this quality. So it's good to see that Pall Hall is selecting a concentrated player pool or
Yeah.
concentrate the type of player to suit this role.
The type of player. That's what I'm saying. A Paul Hall type of player.
Yeah.
I get it. I perfectly understand the type of system that he wants to play. We don't see it fully transition yet, but we're seeing signs. We're seeing moments. We get spells in games, and I'm excited to see more players like Rolando Arons. That type of player. And again, he mentioned one thing in that again: goals from midfield. Jamaica, I can say over the years, I've been a midfield scoring team. You know, we get goals from our forward and wingers. Introducing players that can score from midfield, say Ravel Morrison or Daniel Johnson, is also very important to our Jamaican team. But yeah, bro, that's enough on Rolando Arons. Let's talk about the next question.
Alright. Yeah, as I said, guys, we got a chance to get our noses in this interview, and we thought we made the best of our opportunity. So this is the second question I asked him. This was the real pressing one, people. Take a listen.
Alright. Second question. This might be a slightly controversial question. However, I was in the National Stadium last week, and I would have seen the likes of Daniel Johnson, a very, very or who was a very prominent figure in Jamaican football, scoring, in fact, most recently against Mexico. His omission from the squad was, some would say, quite controversial. Some would say they're not sure why this was. I spoke to him and he said he's always ready and willing to play for Jamaica. Speak to us about his absence and also about his willingness to still come out and support the boys regardless of not included in the 23.
Yeah, that's the type of thing I want to see. I want to see players like that coming out and supporting the guys. It's important that a choice needs to be made, and Daniel likes to play in the 10 area. So I think you'll probably agree that Ravel has probably earned that place going forward. So again, the last group that I initially invited, everybody that won the game against Honduras in the last camp was invited back, everybody. And so that meant that Daniel was probably not invited back because he wasn't part of that squad. I wanted to not change a winning team. So that's why Daniel probably wasn't invited back. And then we go through to choosing another squad. It's just that Daniel wasn't. There's nothing personal or controversial about the decision. I had to choose, and I chose. You know, I sent Daniel a text, and I told him the reasons why. And I believe that's what was important. That's not to say that Daniel won't be invited back in the future, but he wasn't invited to this one. And like I said, he and Ravel play in the same position. So you know, it's that's why. It's nothing more than that.
All right. So the debate, the conversation that this is going to start, is a Ravel versus Daniel Johnson debate. But that's not even the one that I see. All right. I guess it's safe to say that Ravel earned this spot, and Pall has selected his words very carefully. He didn't say better. He didn't say more suited. He said earned is that number 10 shirt.
But
that number 10 spot.
He's better.
Yeah, he would be. It would be fair if he said all those things. Right? But the one that I see is you also selected Tariq Magee ahead of Daniel Johnson. Tariq Magee didn't earn that spot. Tariq Magee didn't score a goal against Mexico in the World Cup qualifiers. Tariq Magee is not a better player than Daniel Johnson.
Tariq Magee is not the captain of Preston North End in the championship.
So what would be his excuse for selecting, say, a Tariq Magee as a backup number 10 to say a Daniel Johnson?
Alright, bro. So there were other elements within the press conference where he would have alluded to the 15 and 7 situation, right? Which for people who might not know what that is, it's just picking the quote-unquote 15 best players available.
16-7.
16 and 7, yeah. Picking the 16 best players available and then picking 7 players for future endeavors, right? I'm not necessarily in agreement with that philosophy. However, I think Daniel Johnson might be a victim of that rather than being a victim of not being as good as Ravel Morrison. Because at the end of the day, FIFA allots each team 23 spots for a reason. This allows you to have 3 goalkeepers and then 1 player in every single position. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's exactly why FIFA did what they did. So you, if you want, obviously it doesn't have to be this way. You can pick 21 forwards and no defenders at all if you so desire. But FIFA allows you to carry 3 goalkeepers and then allows you to have at least 1 player in every possible position. Mm-hmm. at least 2 players in every possible position if you want. So if Ravel is the better 10, who is the second best 10? If we're saying, oh, that Daniel is a 10. It has to be Daniel Johnson.
For sure.
And then my views on that is...
And then Bobby Reed, if you want to say a player that can fill the role.
And my views on that would still be Daniel Johnson a better 8 than Speedy.
Again.
In my opinion.
Again,
That's a perspective that you could look at it. So even if Bobby Reed isn't, say the best 10, which he isn't, because that's Ravel's role, he's definitely second. Yeah. And that's why FIFA give you 23 spot to have a backup. So are you telling me that Kaim Paris and Tariq McGee are better quote-unquote 10s than Daniel Johnson?
No. You said that you disagree with
the 16 and 7.
The 16 and 7 philosophy or the way of going forward.
Quote assisting.
I don't disagree with the philosophy per se. Succession is an important thing. No, 7 is a lot. And 7 just are solely on the idea of succession, or solely on the idea of exposure and experience, is way too much. And succession,
madness, if you ask me.
If you're going to talk about succession have to be a part of that 16 too. Like, you have to have prominent figures in the 16 that will be there for the next cycle.
Or else you're in trouble.
Right, so you can't just have a rigid 7 that probably will never play 60 minutes on the pitch.
Because he did mention, bro, he did mention something being like every tour you'll only use about 14 or 15 players, which is true. Which is his excuse.
Succession after the another 14 there too.
Which is his excuse for being able to just carry 7, because he's saying you only use 14 players per tour. Obviously, if you were selecting for a tournament, like over a summer, probably a Gold Cup, he would select it a bit differently. But really and truly, you're playing 3 games in a World Cup qualifiers or a Nations League or so on and so forth. You're not using more than 14 players. However, I still believe, just like how something might happen tragically and an individual might not be able to play who you had in year 14, a person in the 23 has to be able to fill that spot competently. We saw what happened when Tariq McGee stepped in for Ravel Morrison.
Yeah,
we saw what
the
happened.
fall off was too great. And if you're going to go succession, if your succession is not quite at the level, then forget about it. Let's look at somebody else then.
Exactly.
You can't bring in somebody that's below standard or subpar in the name of succession. But that person can't even contribute.
Exactly. So if for example you were saying, okay, it's between DJ and Rafael and you selected Rafael. If the second spot was say Omari Hutchinson instead of Daniel Johnson, I'd be fine with that.
True.
Because Omari Hutchinson's trajectory is way better than that of Tariq McGee's and the Daniel Johnson.
And then Omari Hutchinson might as well be in Preston United's midfield next season and alone from Arsenal.
Okay, exactly.
So he's at the level.
Exactly.
Tariq McGee is not at the level.
So I do think Daniel Johnson is better than Omari Hutchinson, right? But not by that much.
Yeah.
And even so, Omari Hutchinson is going to have, or not necessarily is going to, but has the potential to have a better career rather than Tariq McGee, who has been here and has consistently failed us at the highest level.
Yeah, so
you cannot be telling me that it's like we went with Ravel as though you only allowed 11 people on the team. Daniel has to be there for whatever it's worth. Daniel Johnson has to be there unless it's for a person who is developing. But I guess he's considering Tariq McGee as a developing player.
Bro, I understand it. If you want to develop players, call a developmental squad, bro. That's not what we're doing. We're not trying to develop nobody. What I got from that press conference is succession. He used the word also, succession. Now, if your succession is not at the level, bro, then it's just not at the level.
Maybe he has Tariq McGee in that succession order. I wasn't necessarily saying development. I was saying maybe he has Tariq McGee as next up in the 10. That's why he keeps on carrying him.
I need to see more then. I'm not happy with Tariq McGee being next up. And if Tariq McGee is the one next up, I'd rather have Ravel Morrison right now, to be totally honest. Daniel Johnson right now, to be honest. That's my backup.
I agree.
So, if Tariq McGee was better at this moment, not quite a Daniel Johnson, as I say, Omari Hutchinson, I would agree with Pall. But right now, the fall off is too great to have him in the team in the name of succession. So, what are some other things that you picked up from the press conference?
Well, as I said, the 16 and 17 that stood out to me. As I said, I don't necessarily believe that we should just be carrying 7 players for the sake of it. We see it happen in teams where, for example, Emile Smith-Rowe was recently captain. I don't think Emile Smith-Rowe is of that ilk. I don't think Emile Smith-Rowe will be in the World Cup this winter. We saw a couple months ago, last year, when Fati was capped for Spain, being a 17-year-old. he was not one of the best wingers / forwards available for Spain. So we do see it with those players who have
too much, bro.
Who have incredible potential. We do see those players being carried, so on and so forth, to get the experience. And it's not developing them, it's giving them international experience because they are at the level.
And you know that they're going to be
exactly
better.
Carrying 7 players, especially at the local level, just for the sake of it, is not okay. What I would be more happy with is if some of these players, because we have quite a few internationally based players in our under 20 teams. If I had, for example, I heard that they call up Scarlett to replace King. You know, he plays for the Rowdies and he's a young central defender. I don't mind.
Not mad at it, yeah.
I don't mind an inclusion like that, right? But it can't be we carrying the likes of Bygrave and Ramon Howell and Thomas, so on and so forth, who aren't and will never be at the level that they need to be. You know, who knows what Tariq McGee might be when he's 25? But as of right now, Tariq McGee is not ready for that level. At least when Smith Rowe was called up for England, he might not have been in one of England's 23 best players, but he's definitely good enough to play in UEFA.
And he was on form.
And it's the same with Fatty. Fatty is definitely better than most people in UEFA. We can safely say that. I'm not saying he's a top 50 player, but there are thousands of players who play. And Ansu Fati would be up top right there. Same with Smith Rowe. Tariq McGee can't compete with these kind of players. I was going to try to pronounce the Surinamese player's name, but I don't remember his name. The guy with the fro. Tariq McGee is not in his class.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Tariq McGee is not in that player's class. There's Sasoa. That's his name. Tariq McGee can't strap leather like that, man. Not even close. You get what I'm trying to say, bro?
Yeah, I hear that.
As compared to Omar Hutchinson, who would be more comparable to a player like he is. And it's the same as what I'm trying to say. I just don't think Tariq McGee is that guy to be a part of our succession plan, to be picking Tariq McGee over Daniel Johnson.
Yeah, I hear it. Also, Pall mentioned in the press conference. No, not that Pall mentioned. One thing I respected, Pall is being more transparent. I can say
way more transparent
than
the
dodging any questions.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to answer the question, Pall said, I don't, like the one before this, said that I don't wish to speak about the administration at this moment. You know, but if you ask him a question about a player, he's going to tell you. As you mentioned that you spoke to Daniel Johnson, he mentioned that he spoke to Daniel Johnson. Somebody asked about...
Bro, it's so refreshing. I asked, why wasn't Daniel Johnson called up? And I got an answer. Do you know how refreshing that was, bro? I asked, why wasn't Daniel Johnson called up? There was no BSing around it. There was no foolishness.
No professional, no politically correct.
He just answered. Politely answered. You know, I just don't think DJ was good enough for my system at this time. Essentially, was what he's saying. I chose Ravel over DJ.
Simple. Yeah, bro. Love the transparency. But one more thing I want to do before we close off. Pall mentioned carrying over, not the exact team, but all the players that were there and instrumental for that Honduras win.
Yeah.
He brought all of them over to this campaign. I'm not sure I like that. I understand what he's saying, but not in this instant. And I would say, if say we go out and we have a dominant Nations League, you'd want most of those players, say in the next set of friendly or whatever, to build some continuity, because essentially that's what he's saying. He's trying to build some continuity in the team, but not with Daniel Green and Atafara Bygrave. You know, and I feel like even at that time, I don't want to rewrite history, bro, but even at that time, that was just an easy cop out. We know that we wouldn't qualify, so we are going to call some players that are easy to call, that say that team deserve. But some of the better players locally, give them some experience, exposure, whatever. That was what happened. In that, let's not act like we called Daniel Green because we wanted to qualify for the World Cup. We know that we wouldn't qualify. So we're going to give, some players that we wouldn't normally call. That's what it was. So you bring over those same players that I wouldn't say stand out by any stretch of the imagination to this Nations League squad. I don't know how I feel about that. Quick before we lock it off.
Yeah, man, and as I was saying, to add to your point, bro, if Daniel Johnson and Bobby Reid is called up to this team, I don't mind not seeing them on the field for the likes of Jamal Lowe and Junior Fleming. If Bobby Reid doesn't play, fine. Bobby Reid, you are not one of the 13 best players right now for this team. But Bobby Reid is definitely top 23 on any given day. Bobby Reid has to be in the squad. The only issue I would have with the Bobby Reid and the Ravel is who gets the 10. You know?
Yeah, but that's a good one to have. But yeah, that's it, bro. People, talk to us. Let us know in the comment section. What are your thoughts on Paul's press conference? The questions that we asked. What are your thoughts on his answers? And yeah, before we leave, we need you to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bro, right now, I go up and look at. Right. People, look at this. image on the screen. What that just says, 60+% of you guys that are watching this content is not subscribed to this
Bro,
other
look
sports
them in
TV.
them
Like,
face and tell them,
every
bro.
time you look on the stat, they look on my analytics and get dark. Like 60 odd, close to 70% are now. Watch the videos and now subscribe. Support the thing, man. Like the content. Support it. We that, bro. What you want them to do for it?
I need you guys once again to share the video to at least 5 people. Just 5. Because if each one of you can get us 5 subscribers, do you know how many subscribers that would get us? By the end of the day?
Yeah.
Anyways, people. For now, this was Decide That Sports TV. From a new location.
Yeah.
From a new Bozy location. And
We're out.